to know what could be better than having all 23 singularities? Well, too bad. There's nothing better than having all 23.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Stoneblock 3. You all remember the last video I made 4 more of the singularities. And I was actually finally able to get the balloon singularity. I actually have 2 of them. So yeah, no, this thing, I was able to figure out that there was actually a thing that was slowing it down. And you might be thinking, there's no door here. Well, actually, there is. I found these things in the Endless Realm, which kind of work like ghost blocks. You know, you just place 2 stone there, and then those ethereal mimics in there, and it kind of makes this whole thing. So yeah, I have forgotten where this was several times. But as I was saying, I was actually able to find out what was keeping the balloon things held back, because all of this like wood and stuff like that, that thing's at maximum capacity. It's a good thing I avoid upgrades, otherwise this whole thing would back up. But what was holding me back was the hemp. And so I found a very easy fix for that by simply making more botany pots full of the hemp seeds. So yeah, no, all of those things are being pulled out and then sent into that ender chest with this watch flowing time, speeding all those things up incredibly, which then sends from this ender chest into here, connecting it to this ender drawer, and then all the seeds are being pumped out into that trash can. This one does not have that issue, so rip this pot. But yeah, no, that's how I was able to sort out the balloon issue, and everything else, well, you know, they were already fine to begin with. So that only left us with 4 more singularities remaining. It is finally time to finish these off. So let's start with the nitro singularity. So the way I'm going to do this one is very similar to the way I did the uranite one, which was this whole setup like right over here. It's going to be fairly similar to that, so like I'm not going to be like building it all in front of you because, you know, that'd just be boring, but I am going to kind of demonstrate what it was that I did, because, you know, you have this whole thing that's right here, all those things each hooked up to it, but there is some other steps that go into this, because this thing actually has multiple things in it, so, you know, you're going to need to kind of adjust it a bit. But there's also this block of blazing crystal, which is not EMCable, and it in itself also needs to be energized. So the way I'm going to do that is by making like one more that's right behind it with the blaze mesh in it. So yeah, I'm going to set that up real quick, and you're going to understand it in a second. Alrighty, so I got the basic setup done. So, you know, we've got these 3 down here, which are going to be for like the actual nitro crystals, and then we got these things up here, which are going to be for the blocks, which I actually need to add to here. And there was kind of a thing that I sort of glossed over the last time when I, you know, set all this up, which is how to actually connect these things to specific things. So these things will randomly pick which one they want to connect to, and I only want certain ones connected to certain ones. How I do that is by shift right clicking that one and then that one. So that one is now linked to that one. And I don't want all of these things to be linked to like this one. I want some of them linked to the other ones as well. So each one of these will have a set of 9, with the exception of these top ones. These will have sets of 3. So hopefully that'll be enough. And yeah, now I just need to start configuring these, and then we can get on to the next part. Alrighty, so I've gotten all those linking things set up, and I now have the EMC link. So here's how I'm going to do this. It's the same way I did it over here. It's just, you know, a bit with more of an explanation. So I'm actually using these things called item transports. So the way I do this is I set that one like this, and those should be the ones where they're going into. Yes, it is. Okay, so here's how these things work. So they have a filter which will allow me to get specific amounts, because if I don't have like specifically the amount of everything I need in these things, it will not work. So what I need to do is I need to right click on the side of this thing with the item, but then take the same item from another place and then link it like that. And that's how it's supposed to work. Now, as for why it works like that, I have no idea, and I just messed it up. But yeah, no, I put it like that, and I need to have regulate mode enabled so that way this thing works. And I'm probably going to need to, yeah, I'm going to need to exit out and then work with it again. So then I do the same thing with the next item, and then I put those in there. And if you want to have it like the exact items that you have in the thing, you need to left click. If you want just one, you need to right click. So yeah, that thing worked. And I just need to repeat this process across these next 3. So now I have all those things hooked up, and it is working. However, it's going very slow, and I'm guessing that's due to the fact that it costs 90,000 versus these ones which only cost 30,000. So like having 9 on each of those is fine. Well, these ones only have 3 on each of them. So I may have to add more to them, but for right now though, these should suffice. Okay, so I'm going to need to turn these things off so that way they don't, keep intaking more. And then I can just take these crystals out, and then I can set the filters on these ones. And then since these ones are like this, I'll have to input them manually, but then now these things should start working. And they're inputting a lot faster than I was expecting, but still not as fast as it should be. But I honestly don't think there is anything I can do about that other than adding more fornicators, which I probably will do. I just won't do those right now since essentially this is the setup done. So I would just need to then have something exporting these, and yeah, this is pretty much the whole thing. Now we just need to move on to one of the other ones. So let's go to the wall singularity, because that one I have an idea for. So for those of you who weren't there when I actually made my first compact machine, you actually need these things called field projectors, which I have inside of my transmutation table. So the way that these things are made is you place down a block of iron and then redstone dust on top of it, and then you drop an ender pearl within the field for that, and it'll give you 16. And I've decided I'm going to do it inside of the compact machine because I'm pretty sure this should be a big enough area. So let me get everything that I'm going to need, and then I'm going to start with like the basic setup. Alright, so I've gotten at least the basic things set up, such as, the first set of machine walls. And I say first set because I'm actually going to need to do this 3 times, because whenever you use one of these things, it makes 16 compact machine walls. And since 48 make a wall singularity, if I do this like 3 times in a setup, it'll just, be instantly enough for them. So as for how I'm actually going to do this setup, so what I'm going to need is going to be a block placer on top of a block placer. So this bottom one will be the one that places down the iron, and then the top one will be the one that places down the redstone. I just need to figure out how to get this thing to place the iron first. I'm also going to need power to this thing. So for the power, we can just use a basic level fornicator with an EMC link constantly pumping the Aeternal's fuel straight into it. And then we can just hook the power up to go straight into those things like that. So then this thing is instantly powered. Now that being said, okay, yeah, no, I have another angle for it, so it'll be fine. I was wondering if this would complicate me putting the blocks that I need with another EMC link in there. It won't. Speaking of the EMC link, let's get the second one set up right now. So we'll need to have it at 2 different points leading there, and then we'll need to disconnect that point. From these ones, we're going to then filter each one of the things we need. So this bottom one will be for the iron, and then this top one will be for the redstone. And we should be able to throw both of these things into there, and then it should work once the time is finished. Yes, it does indeed. Okay, so then those things get placed down, and this one looks like it's a little slower, but it doesn't matter because, they won't place down so long as there's like something inside of their paths. So then after all of those are done, now we need to put this thing here with a dropper, and then I'm going to test something out. If there's another block inside of the area, will this thing not work? So let's throw in and see. Okay, yeah, so then it doesn't work, but if I throw this in now, it actually still doesn't work. Okay, so I figured out what was wrong with it. Apparently, for some reason, the bigger one of these wasn't working out properly to where I could make these things work, but the smaller one seems to work, so we're going to be working with that. And I also have an idea as to how to get a redstone signal to this thing. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to place 2 blocks there, and then I'm going to need to have this thing as a sensor that is pointing the wrong way, and it should only focus on the one directly in front of it. So this should recognize the redstone, and so it'll only emit a signal whenever there is, redstone right there, because, that's the last block that's allowed to be placed, and then that'll emit a signal to this one, which I'm actually going to need to configure these because these things are actually very sick. So let's say set this one to the stone configuration, and then we can put another one right up on to this dropper, and then also set that one to stone, and then change this thing by shift right clicking to make it a receiver. So whenever a redstone signal goes into this one, it'll also head over to this one, which will then trigger this. Now, I don't know if this thing needs to be facing this thing perfectly or not, but we will see. Now, for some reason, it isn't working, though. So I'm wondering if I need to give it a kickstart, just to make sure. So let's give it that kickstart, and you might see that it looks like there's nothing happening, but there actually is something happening. And even though it does still sound like there's blocks being placed, nothing is currently being placed, so it's kind of weird like that. So once that thing places those things, we should then get a signal. We did not. Oh, okay, I'm an idiot. I forgot to set that thing to 3. Okay. There we go. So now that this thing can see that, it will then emit a redstone signal, which will send it up to this one, which will then drop the ender pearl into here. So now we just need to send this thing an ender pearl just to make sure that this will work. Because, you know, if this didn't work, I would actually be a little bit upset. Okay, so let's change this out of that one so that way it doesn't get a signal. And then we can throw this back like that. And there we go. Yes, it works. That is great. Ooh, I'm very grateful for that. Okay. So then I just need to set up another EMC link. And also I'm going to need something to automatically collect these. Probably another item thing. And, oh. Why did that go over there? That's a problem. Okay, so I moved this thing to be in the dead center, so hopefully that should solve the whole inaccuracy problem, because I kind of forgot about that the droppers can be a little bit finicky, but, I mean, it should still work nonetheless. Yeah, that drops, like, straight down, so even if it goes off, like, a little bit to the right or left, it should be fine. Okay, so here we go. This is what I'm going for. So, you know, we just have the basic EMC link going in there. It's not that big of an issue. But then we have this item collector, which will then pick up the whitelisted machine wall things, instantly putting those into the ender chest, which we're going to need. So then we just got to hook this thing into that with the ender pearls already in there, and then yeah, that should be done. Now all I really need to do is just reset this thing because it kind of, you know, got messed up. But there we go. That is this whole little part done, and it's actually not doing a bad job. It just needs to be, you know, a little bit faster, but that shouldn't really be a problem. Now all I really need to do is just replicate this whole thing 3 times upwards. Well, actually, no, I need to do it 2 more times. It's 3 times overall. And then they'll all be going into this same ender chest. And then, yeah, that's that part done. So I'm going to do all that off screen. So the next part, we're going on to the ethereal slate.
Later.
Alrighty, so for the ethereal slate, it's actually going to take quite a bit of LP. However, at the current capacity that I have upgraded this thing to, it vastly exceeds what it was. I just don't remember the exact number. You can't see it because it's behind my head, but the amount that this thing is capable of holding is 180,442 millibuckets of life points. So that is pretty good. Now, obviously, we know how I can, you know, just automate the whole stuff. I just need to, you know, change this thing out with an EMC link, which sends it into the stone, and then it fills up with a thing, eventually getting to the ethereal slate. That part we already covered. But what we didn't cover is how to exactly automate getting life points. Now, I once had an idea for, like, using a dispenser to use my sacrificial knife on them, but I just ended up dropping it. So, you know, that didn't work. So I actually looked into it, and we actually need another ritual called the Well of Suffering. It's as bad as it sounds. So basically it attacks mobs within its damage zone and puts the life points into the nearby blood altar. And it needs a total of 36 runes, which I do have on me, as well as the Master Ritual Stone. So that's not, you know, going to be a problem at all. We just need to find somewhere to put this, which I'm guessing will probably be far underneath this thing, because that's the only place I can see me putting it. So let me set up that whole little area thing, and then we can get the ritual started.
Much later.
Alrighty, so I got the area set up perfectly, and I also have these little things, which are going to act as little mob spawners, because remember, this thing absorbs life points from these things when they spawn. So I just put some dreadful dirt into each of these little squares, and then fill them up. But first, I want to get this thing ready, so we need to set this thing over to Well of Suffering. Here it is, Well of Suffering. Okay, so then right here on this stone, I put the ritual stone into there, and then we just start right-clicking it, and it'll start taking the runes, coloring them in instantly, and there we go. The Well of Suffering is now completed. So now I just put a dreadful dirt into each of these, and they'll all start spawning mobs. And then this thing should start killing them, and it'll start putting them all inside of the blood altar. Provided that this isn't too far away. That is a concern of mine. I forgot to check for one thing. Yes, it does need to be activated. Okay, so I actually need to go fill up my blood network then. That sucks, because I already have finished off everything. Okay, now hold on a second. There is possibly a chance that I didn't completely screw this up. 40,000. Wait. Yes, the thing needs 40,000 to activation cost. Okay. Ooh, thank goodness. But that does make me wonder. My concern is if I actually need more blood to be able to run it. So I'm actually going to look this up real quick just to see if this is the case, because I do not want to mess this thing up eternally.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Okay, so I was right in my assumption. So I set up another thing right here. So this one should be the one that all this blood goes to. And then the blood will flow out from this one, at least a minute bit of it, into this one, which will then be where the blood network comes from. So yeah, this whole thing should be ready. So let us activate this. Do I need to... Oh, no, I just need to right-click it. Alright, so once they start getting damaged, it should work. Okay, I got it working. Oh my goodness, that took a bit. So what I actually needed was this ritual tinkerer, and then I just needed to, like, configure that thing over to here. So it is working, and this thing is now starting to fill with blood. So every so often, a little bit of it is just going to go over into that thing, and fortunately, it is raising. So that means that this thing won't be losing any, and all these things will just continue to die, and anything that they drop will just go straight into here. Alrighty, so I put all the pedestals down here, thus increasing all these things spawn rate. Well, most of them anyways. I still don't know what's going on with that room, but for, you know what, it's fine. And all these things are mostly muted. For some reason, that sound effect of them getting damaged is still playing. I could have sworn I muted that, but it's fine. I was a little bit wrong, because this thing wasn't actually raising, it was actually losing, but the moment I put a dark matter pestle up here to increase how quickly it went in here, it started actually going up again, so it's fine. And this thing is, you know, still completely full. So yeah, all I really have to do is just replace this thing with an EMC link to, you know, put the stone in, and then replace this with an ender chest, and yeah, that'll be the ethereal slates done. So then the only thing left for me to do now will be the mana steel. So yeah, that one's gonna take a bit, so let me get, you know, everything set up, and then we'll start building this thing. It's gonna be interesting. Alrighty, so I've gathered everything I needed, and I started making the basic layout of everything. So what we got down here is a personal EMC link with cake in it, and you'll understand why this is happening in a second. So what we need to do is we need to put each of these block placers right here, and the reason I'm using these ones instead of the ones I used for the wall singularities, no, not the wall singularities, the frame wall automation, is because these ones don't actually require power. So I can just, you know, stick these here, and it'll infinitely put up these cakes so long as they have, you know, cakes in them, which, you know, luckily because of this, they do. Now, you might be wondering, why am I even putting these with cake? So let me fill in these dirt patches really quickly, and then I'll explain. Alrighty, that's all them done. Okay, so the reason why I'm doing these is there's these things right here called Kekimurus, and they kind of work like these endo flames, where they, you know, they'll give spreaders their mana, but instead of, you know, feeding off of any flamables, they feed off of cakes in the nearby area. And I can't really take credit for this idea. I actually did get this idea from someone else, you know. I don't remember what the name of the guy was. I'll have to, you know, leave a link in the description. So if you want to, you know, see the original setup, be sure to go check it out. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to put these mana spreaders here. I'm using the Gaia ones specifically because, you know, they are the highest tier. And I want them to actually be facing up, which might sound surprising, but this is actually what we want. And I'm pretty sure that, yeah, like these ones, they kind of fluctuate in color as you look onto them. So, you know, it's all pretty. Okay, so now that all of those are in place, we just need to lace down all of these kekumarus. Oh, goodness. I have a whole stack of these. It's going to be a feeling. Yes, look, it's eating the cakes. Oh, my goodness. I should probably put the mana pools on here now because, you know, it's going to need them. Side note, I found out you can mute these things too, so yeah, no, that's a huge relief. Alright, so I got all of them placed down. Now on each one of these, I need to place this composite mana lens of potency and velocity, which basically should both speed these up and kind of make them, you know, more powerful. So it'll go even faster than it already is. And you might think that it might be moving slow if you've never seen this mod before, but it's actually pretty relatively fast. Let's see how it's doing now. That one's not being eaten. Let's go for one that is. This one's also doing pretty good. That's nice. I'm pretty sure, I think if I remember the setup correctly, I need to either put sparks on all of these or... Yeah, no, I do actually need to do that. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to raise the roof a little bit, at least over these specific blocks. Okay, so I filled those out, and then over these things, I just put the sparks like so. And there we go. So now all of these things will be connected through the spark network, I guess. But it's not completely done, because there is one other thing that we need to do with one of these sparks, which is to make it a dominant spark. So we put that one like that, and then all of those ones are going to start going to that. Ooh, we don't want these ones going from there, though. Absolutely not. We need these ones to also become dominant, so that way the portal stays on. Now, I mean, I'm probably never going to use this portal anymore, but at the very least, you know, it's full. And all these things are just gonna, you know, keep on building up, and, you know, that's all good. Now then, though, since we've automated the mana, we still need to automate the steel part. And you can probably guess how I'm gonna do that. And if you were guessing that it was going to be me doing the same thing with the walls, how I used an EMC link on top of a dropper, you'd be incorrect. No, I have a much more devious plan instead. So, what I'm gonna do is, ooh, I'm going to need some blocks to place. Good thing I have a bunch of grass. And then I put the shoot right there. And then we put that there, and then we can get rid of the grass. And then we just need to hook up the iron to that. But hold on, we don't want to do that yet. I was thinking I might want to set up like the ender chest first, you know, so that way it doesn't start getting like clogged up all over the place. Because yeah, no, the way I'm doing the ender chest is I'm going to be putting one of these item things right here. There we go. And then I wanted to whitelist the mana steel, so that way it would only pick that up instead of the iron. But it doesn't look like a god choice. Oh, there we go. Okay, and then mana steel. And then we throw that into there. There we go. Yay! Now the mana steel is fully automated. Okay, I need to remember this combination, though, because this one was unique. It was gray, brown, gray. Okay, then. So that is now all of those things done. So now all I need to do is just throw these things into their specific chests. It's singularity time once more. Alrighty, here we go. This is going to be a very momentous occasion. So, we just need to put all of these into their specific places. Oh, it's so good. And then we just need to hook all of those up, and now they're all configured to their specific things. That one should be done in due time. I'm going to need to, you know, put upgrades in these, but first, let's start with the one that we already have, the ethereal slate. You all really have no idea how much of a momentous occasion this is, because this is all 23 of the singularities done. Like, this has been so much in the baking. Like, we had all the original EMCable ones, sure, but then we've gone through, like, so many different combinations of ender chests and stuff like that, and it's just been completely insane. And yep, here we even have the Mana Steel one. I feel like the one I'm going to be waiting on the most will probably be the Nitro Crystal one, since, yeah, this one is going to take a bit. I'm definitely going to need to do some tweaking with it, but still, though, this is incredible. So now we just need to equip all of these with their polar upgrades, so that way they can pull the ones from above. And with this last one right here, these things are all well and truly automated. Oh my goodness, it's been so long. Whoop! Yep, you didn't get used to that, did you? Either way, though, with all of the singularities in my pocket, it is now time to both collect these achievements and explain why these things are needed. So all of these singularities are needed to make this thing called the Infinity Catalyst, which takes all of these singularities and these three things, which we'll be doing next video. And these things are all going to require mechanical crafting, which means next time it's going to be time for the Auto Mansion tour. So the only thing left today is going to be opening up today's chance cube. Yes, it is the time of the show where I risk my life and limb for the sake of all of your entertainment by opening the disaster block that is a chance cube. If you all don't want me to die, hit that like button. If you all want me to die, hit that like button anyways. Let's go! Oh. What? 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 There was an invisible creeper! Wait a minute. No, it was just flat out invisible. I used my AoE attack and then it just dies. Bro, that is mean. Oh my gosh, Chance Cubes. How freaking dare you? Oh gosh, you got outsmarted by me flinching, baby. Oh goodness, that's got to be the most evil Chance Cube I've ever had. Anyways, though, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my last Stoneblock video. Bye-bye!